The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here on Analyze This. So I'm trying to find some of them Tim Duncan stats. I keep forgetting. It was 1993 when he graduated from high school. There we go, Tim Duncan. All right. Year one. Wake Forest. He played in 33 games. He started in 32. And he averaged 9.8 points per game, 9.6 rebounds per game, 3.8 block shots. Right? And in his sophomore year, he took 4 more shots per game, and his points per game average went from 9.8 to 16.8 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, 4.2 block shots. Right? And then as a junior, average went up again to 19.1 points per game. Rebounds were a little bit down from 12.5 to 12.3. And 3.8 block shots. And he was also a consensus All-America first team. Let me see. What was the first team? Hold on there. 1995, 1996. Yeah. First team with Allen Iverson, Kerry Kittles, Marcus Camby, Ray Allen, and Tony Delk. They had six first teamers that year. Right? And then in his senior year, he averaged 20.8 points per game, 14.7 rebounds, and 3.3 block shots. And he was college player of the year that year. Also, first team All-American. Number 1 pick overall to the San Antonio Spurs. Had a great college career and an even greater professional career. Yeah, man. So they got a documentary coming out next week. Okay? So looking forward to that. And now you know the deal, right? St. Dunstan's Episcopal School. Okay, we're looking at his game logs. Ain't got much game logs here. So you need to define All-American and first team to non-sports audience. Okay, here we go. In college, right, because you have so many different conferences, right, what they do is they pick the top 5 players by position from across the country. And they have the top 5 players, they're viewed as All-American. That's why they use the term all, right? So to encompass all of America. And he was a first team All-American, one of the top 5 players and the best at his position in 95, 96, and 96, 97. Because the basketball and hockey, those sports start in the fall and they end in the spring, right? So he was first team, top 5. And then they got a second team for the next best 5 players, and some of them have a third team, right? So top 15, and then they'll break it down by 5s. So, Tim Duncan, in his last 2 years, he was first team All-American, and he won College Player of the Year and all that stuff. Hold on, let me look at this All-American listing to see if he was All-American. Okay, he had a teammate in his sophomore year by the name of Randolph Childress, and he was a second team All-America. That's the year when they were expected to win the national championship. They were like number one going into in their region in the tournament, and they get knocked out by Oklahoma State that year. Big country, a dude named Brian Reeves. But that's some great players back then, son. Damon Stoudemire, Ed O'Bannon, Jerry Stackhouse, Joe Smith. Rasheed Wallace was on the second team. Team didn't even make the top two teams then. They make the top two teams in 96 and 97, which is good. Then he was Rookie of the Year in 1998 in the NBA. And then he won his first championship in 99, his first MVP in 2002, and his second MVP and championship in 2003. Then he won 3 more championships after that. That's a great NBA career, so VI down the map. Yesterday's conversation, my friend Francis Benjamin from out of the West sent me a text message. We were talking about how Charleston, South Carolina has similarities, right, to like how things are constructed, infrastructure, and to St. Croix and to the Virgin Islands. And Francis texted me to say the historic district of Savannah also has a feel like St. Croix. And President David Hall had mentioned that, that's where he grew up, right? And it makes sense. And then Judy Bourne had texted me to let me know that there's a Bejan them who had built either Charleston or Savannah. Which one it was? Charleston. Okay, we got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. This the governor?
No. This Grant.
Oh, that's Grant. Oh.
I just was out here listening to you talk about TD and his exploits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I just found out that he's a cousin of mine, Ronald Webster, the former Prime Minister of Anguilla, who was my father's first cousin. I found out from a lady that lives in St. Croix that we are related. But as you were talking about great players, when you had Lolo on, I was trying to call him because I wanted to talk about a player. Rufus Storm would tell you, we had a team called the Bavodi Nuggets, a guy named Claude Hatch. And he was able to score 86 points against 0-2 and beat out, what's the center name? For the gas station, Petros, Ali Petros.
Yeah, Ali Petros, yeah.
Ali Petros housing her lane because he and my friend were going head-to-head for most points. So, housing lane, they played the first game. He scored 60. So we say, okay, well, that's what I want to do. Well, William Moses shoot everything. He scored 86.
Yeah, I know Moses.
But he moved to Maryland, right?
Yeah, I know Moses.
Playground. I was on a playground. And you know who signed?
Who?
The great Len Bayos. Went to Lefty Drizel and said, listen here, I just saw this great point guard. You need to bring him to the University of Maryland. And, it never worked out. He went and did other things, and we all know the story of Len Bios. But,
yeah.
I'm just showing you the greatness of Virgin Islands athletes.
No, I know Moses. He had another nickname. He used to call him Maka.
Maka, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Why we don't have why are we not capitalizing on sports tourism by having a sports hall of fame with a hotel over there in St. Croix? Why? Isn't that let me ask you something. Selling Tim St. Johnson jersey, whether you're selling his jersey, baseball cap, coffee mug, t-shirt, napkin, wouldn't that be sports merchandising? Isn't that a multi-trillion-dollar global business?
But we spoke. Me and Rocky and Doctor talk about it all the time. Our weather allow for us to have year-round training.
Well, if great minds think alike are talking about it, why we can't bring it to fruition?
Well, my son, it's about will, you know. You gotta have the political will. So, but
okay.
Yeah. So your boy, hey, Gummy just text me and say Maka live immediately behind me in Bovoni. Yeah, my nephew, Fugu had tell me about all ayo in Bovoni who believe I could have played basketball. Yeah.
Listen.
But we name came back and set the record. Ali Petros is got 87 points in a 13-16 game.
Oh, okay. Well, they were 13-15.
Yeah, he was playing. He used to play with Payson Garden had a team. Housing had a team.
Yeah.
He had, remember now during the school year, right? During the school year, you had the 13-16 inter-neighborhood league that was run by Youth Commission. Yeah. And then in the summertime,
88
and then in 88, correct, 88 and Spell Bell and all them man, right? And then in the summertime, Housing Park and Recreations used to have 3 leagues. They'd have the Biddy League from 9 to 12, the Junior League from 13 to 15, and then the 16 to 18. You know what I'm saying? So,
correct.
But and then also our Open League in the summer in both St. Croix and St. Thomas. That was some of the elite basketball that you would find anywhere, you know, pong for pong. You know what I'm saying?
Talking about 14 to 16.
Yeah.
Rufus, I think one time it's 37 rebounds.
Yeah. He was a rebounding demon. It had a great team out of Valley Warriors with Foreman and Bahan and Holma Harley them and Soto. A great team. And Casa and Casa Botti Joseph. Yeah. He had a great team. Our team I played them. Timmy best friend Rashidi, his father Johnny Clements. Johnny Clements used to coach a team called Young Roots, and and I used to be hanging around that man. Right, I was still like 14, and Donald Bow, Eddie Martinez. Yeah, great players.
I remember, right? Center James. I remember when Central had Donald Bow. Sixes, Greenwich.
Yeah. Hollis Greenwich. Hollis Greenwich, sixes, yeah.
Yeah, sixes.
Yeah.
Listen, we used to have some good games, you know, with against Nazareth, the Dorican.
Yeah. Well, high school had a good team too.
Then people didn't know that Nick Daddy Friday was an excellent athlete. Nick was a forward, but was always on the fast break.
Man, Nick played no defense, 0 defense, and running down the court after that man rebound the ball, running. Yeah. We ain't been on a team too. Kenrick Bossa.
Oh yeah, that's my boy, man, Kenrick. Yeah.
I got to speak with him this year for the first time in a long time. I mentioned his name. I mentioned his name. Malcolm De Castro was listening to the show. He called my show to let me know, hey man, that name you mentioned.
Oh yeah, I remember that show.
And he hooked me up. He hooked me up with the phone numbers, and he and I spoke. You know what I'm saying? So he live in Atlanta. Yeah, he live in Atlanta right now. Yeah, he's a good. He's a good softball player too. A lefty. You are lefty.
Listen.
Yeah.
Lefty. We play tackle football together.
Yeah.
He was an excellent all-around athlete.
Yeah.
Listen,
A cool dude too, man. Good demeanor, good personality.
Man,
yeah, man.
Listen, in the 70s growing up, the Virgin Islands had some of the best athletes. We talking
the one name I remember out of St. Thomas in the 70s, Cannon. That's all I remember. Cannon. He was a good running back.
You remember? Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a guy named Majetti?
No, they don't ring a bell. No.
Ask about he. This man was he used to play running back. And when it was Wayne Aspinall, they had a team that beat, I want to say it was Antilles 100-0.
But see them kind of win there is cheap win, taking advantage of people cheering. Taking advantage of people cheering when you know you got a clear talent advantage. Them thinking on the brag about. Are you gonna shame? I ain't shame.
But listen, right? Wayne Aspinall back then, right? They had everybody from in town.
Vietnam.
So you know, of course, exactly.
Yeah.
Vietnam. But he played baseball. He was an excellent baseball player. I talk about baseball. I want to say condolences to Chammy Blyden. He just passed a couple weeks ago. Excellent person, athlete. You know, he was a catcher in playing Tony League.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we used to play Little League, Don Griffith. And after the Little League game, we would go up around the field to watch the Pony League game. Them, you know.
Little League was 9-12, and Pony League was 13-15. Yeah.
Listen, Richie Welch.
He was a great athlete out of Corwin Terrace. Yeah.
I got to do him a favor because you know he was Charles Barkley back up at Auburn, right?
That was his good friend, a roommate at Auburn. Yeah, man. Yeah. Sonny Smith. They play for a coach named Sonny Smith. Hold up a second. Calm down. I know you're getting excited and all that stuff. Just calm down. Take it easy. We're gonna take a break. And come back. When you start to talk history and that's my thing, you know what I mean? So don't take it easy. Calm down. We'll take a break.
Yeah,
we'll be back. We'll be back right after this. And we're back here. Analyze this. The governor gonna be joining us in a little bit. In the meanwhile, I got Mr. Grant joining us. So Ayo Tembovoni, Ayo got a natural war with Tutu. Mr. Grant.
Yeah, we used to always go head to head. But actually, to tell you the truth, it was more of Nada. Nada was more of our rival. Them guys who live in Nada Soccer, they had these have good teams. All Charles was an excellent player. I can remember, a couple other guys, but we used to always go head to get against Bovoni Ghetto Lion from Bovoni Housing and Nada. But, in the neighborhood back then, we was rivals against everybody, and we used to join forces Bovoni and Thomasville. Like the Thomasville Stars would be like the team for the 13 to 16, and then we would join up. We had 13 to 16. The team I was telling you about, Bovoni Nuggets, which Rufus could tell you about, which was an excellent team. Rufus, power forward, Monroe Steele, James Henry.
Fugu tell me, that's my nephew Randall Barnes, he passed away. He tell me I used to call Monroe Steele Mooney.
Mooney,
yeah.
Talking about the late Fugu.
Yeah.
In 1979, when our cousin Ronald Charles played the biggest game in college basketball history against Indiana State and Larry Bird. And I'm sure Magic Johnson to this day will tell you, if it wasn't for Ronald Charles Rancho holding Larry Bird in the first half, even getting fouled out, that's what helped them. He and
it was actually Greg Kelso. Who was the forward? Who was guarding Larry Bird? But they couldn't come in the middle because Rancho were playing center and Rancho were clocking in the middle, But we named.
Yeah.
But Michigan State was just a better team. They had better players. They had more talent. Even though Larry Bird was the college player of the year and one of the greatest players ever, that Kelso helped them with Jay Vincent and Ronald Charles, and they had a dude named Donnelly, a dude from Canada. He could have shoot. Back then, he had no holy but 3-point shooting. If he had 3-point shooting back then, college basketball would have been Larry Bird would have averaged 40 because he was the best shooter in the game. You know what I'm saying?
So what Pistol Pete would have averaged when he averaged 44 a game?
Who?
If he had 3-point shoot, Pistol Pete Maveridge.
Oh yeah, well, he averaged 44. He averaged 44, but he was shooting everything. He was shooting everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because your father was a coach.
He was playing for your father. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? But when he came to the NBA, he led the league in scoring one time. But Pistol was a special basketball player, man. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
He was a trick star. But a lot of them man, a lot of them man come to the Virgin Islands and they learn that when they came down here, we had man who could play basketball with them too.
Hey, listen. I sat the game with the ABA Stars against Manly down in CVA, the old hangar.
Yeah.
Right? I remember that game good. I remember everybody was waiting for Dr. J to dunk. And I remember he dunked baseline. And the rim that was closest down by where the airport side was. I remember that good. Everybody run on the court. But it was a good game. Back then, you talking about Never Peterson.
I just got a text message from I just got a text message from one of my listeners, Lucy Lamata, and she said Willie Boo. This is the Kali Willie Boo, right? Never.
Yeah.
Right, never. Right?
Yeah.
And he played basketball. And I think he went to Larenborg. Yeah, he went to Larenborg Institute.
He went to Larenborg, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of great players.
He's who get Harley to go to Larenborg.
Yeah. And then Harley eventually went
to West Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah, to me out of all the players, out of seeing Thomas Sousa play guard and all that stuff. the most complete was that last name there, Holman Harley.
Holman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a bad dude, man.
He could have made it to the NBA.
He was maybe an inch or two shorter. If he had been like 6'4", 6'5", he'd have had a long NBA career. He was a great player.
This is.
He been on that team. He been on that team with Foreman and Bahadem and Kusu, Holman Harley. Who name used to coach them? I do name Bob Love used to coach them.
Bob Love, that's Foreman brother.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Love.
Yeah,
Bob Love was Foreman brother.
Yeah.
Listen.
You know who play with them too? You know who play with them too? Butchie I.
Yeah, Butchie I lefty. Yeah, he get a little foul pit now down in South. Yeah. Nasty point guard.
Yeah. Butchie Dean.
Maka could have made the NBA. Maka was doing crossovers in the 70s. Now people talking about Tim Hardaway and his crossovers. He was doing crossover in the 70s.
Another basketball player just come into the studio, man. The governor there. So I'm going to have to make sure you listen to the governor is to play. He listening to no. He listening to you now. So tell the governor say good morning and then tell the governor.
Good morning. Good morning, Governor Albert Bryan Jr.
Good
I want to see if we could get a VI Sports Hall of Fame on the island of St. Croix and have a hotel incorporated, maybe a 500-room hotel that could have overnight guests.
500 is too much. You're not being realistic as one.
Much okay. We cut it in half. 250-room hotel.
I'm going to work on it.
Tell me, Governor Bryan, tell me, right? We have Tim Duncan, Hall of Fame NBA.
Mm-hmm.
We have Julian Jackson, Hall of Fame boxer, right?
Uh-huh.
We have athletes galore competing at all levels and who have been successful. There's no way we cannot capitalize on sports tourism with the amount of great athletes that have come through the Virgin Islands. We could talk about Alvin Mabin and go on and on, Mr. Thomas and so forth. That we cannot use this. We could have, just like a regular sports Hall of Fame, we have a bus of the person, we have a tablet with their bio, we have an entrance fee, and we incorporate sports merchandising. Senator James, what's sports merchandising? Globally, multi-trillion-dollar business. We selling Tim Duncan, once he approve of it, Tim Duncan's jerseys, whatever, the whole gamut. That is a revenue stream the Virgin Islands could use, and tell me that sports ain't the biggest thing happening on the globe.
Thank you very much for starting the conversation with the governor. Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy and have a good day.
Okay,
I'm here listening.
You got it. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Morning, Governor. How are you?
I'm good, man.
How you feeling?
My apologies for coming late.
That's the weather, though.
I woke up and I said, why do they have me scheduled on this show for an hour from 9 to 10? I should go early. And then I was like, I have house guests. So I was like, I can sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Miss Hamilton actually had hooked you up from 8:30.
Yeah.
Maybe they were.
We're going to stay till 10, though.
Yeah, okay. That's the most important thing. Yeah, how you feeling, man?
I'm great. I mean, I've been traveling a lot. You know, it's good to be home. It is exhausting being on the road.
How your daughter, man? How they doing, man?
They're good. I had lunch with the little one yesterday, and I love. She's got her own apartment now and running her own life. She want to tell me about the struggle. I said, you have to
teach her how to cook. I know you used to feed them. You used to knock out a pork chop. You're good with a pork chop.
Yeah. You know, they have their mother and me. I mean, in the house all the time. We always have good cooks in our kitchen, so they could bubble a thing up. The other one is in the States. She was calling me the other day. She want my meatball recipe. You know,
but there's a seasoning. That's the key to it.
But you could never tell somebody how much adobo to put.
You got to actually learn that on your own. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? Some paprika, stuff like that. Yeah.
So the little one, Samaya, was telling me, you know, her meatballs are better than mine. So her boyfriend was over, and I cooked it, and he was like, nah, cuz she ain't ready yet.
He could make it. Bruise her ego a little bit, you know what I mean?
You know, I teach her how to make make a good steak. She can make a good steak too.
I was telling them last week something, but last week I was reminding people of a story that I learned from the late Raymond Farley. He's a Cali Bevan. He tell Nathaniel Lee, he tell Tanya Woods that day, and this is what your daughter had to learn, right? Don't just know your place, stay there. It's a two-part thing. You just know your place. Stay there. You check. So when Beaver told Daniel Woods that I did that, I never forgot it. But she'll get good.
Oh yeah, but
everything take time, you know.
The one thing that you cannot buy is wisdom. You know that comes over years and years of experience, and it comes in handy. You know.
Yeah. So let me ask this question: the country running good?
Yeah. You know,
aside from WAPA,
let me tell you now how I measure how well we're doing. How? What people are complaining about. So like WAPA is a complaint, but for the most part, you know, the things that I worry about now but are well underway is the hospital and WAPA. Those are the two primary things. The schools are coming along. You know, we had a mini protest at BCB the other day. BCB is under contract already. High school is under contract. As a matter of fact, I got big up my friend, I would say, and one of the people I really admire, Adrienne Williams Actolin. I mean, she set out this year to do $8 billion in projects, and she's at about 6 now. She has 2 more to do. So this week we sent out the contracting for Herbert Grigg, the St. John New School, St. Thomas schools. A host of things were approved at the PFA that's meeting for her to go in. And
Rocky, I was talking on Tuesday. We didn't have my show on Monday. Rocky said that he heard. No, I'm not big on the hearsay on this show, but his concern as a St. Jonian was they got a problem determining where the athletic field for the school gonna be in St. John.
There is no athletic field in the school right now. I was speaking to some St. Jonians, and they were talking about the possibility to acquire a piece of land that's like right across the street.
And they got a hill there that they could knock down and make well, you know, St. Thomas and St. John have mastered the art of knocking down hill for developmental purposes. So what Rocky heard is accurate then?
Yeah, the school doesn't have a field in it. You know, space is
a shelter. A shelter covered it up.
Every one of these schools are like bomb-proof. I hate to say it like that, but you know, and the other day, one of the board members is like, "Well, what's taking so long?" I said, "You know, the K through 8, Arthur Richards, right, bigger than the university, and you have to drive. Like, I encourage people, like you in St. Croix, take a drive down Paradise. If you go on the highway, you take the Paradise light, and you turn right up in there, and you just follow the road all the way around. When you get on top by Bonaventure Hills, you can look down and you can see it." If you want to, if you remember where the old Evelyn Williams School was, you know.
No, that school down in a valley though.
They built that up. Listen, that's this so highly designed.
Is a platform to address rain?
It is. What the problem is now is all the rain we're going. So we're in the process of acquiring the land across the street to actually have a settlement pond all built, because the school, the water from the school draining off has its own cistern, so to speak. It goes in and it fills up, and then the water runs off easily to stop that rushing water.
Is it novel engineering
man. Listen, the guy told me if there's a nuclear holocaust, that school will be standing. And that's why it's so expensive. Like, every single building in there is made to withstand more than a Category 5 hurricane. It has its own pool. I mean, it's just a beautiful work of art. When you see the final thing, it's gonna be done, because the school is actually gonna be finished, substantially completed in June, and it's gonna be open in September. So we're really excited. We're really excited about that project. And you know, people think we're building back a box. We're not. We're building some things that are gonna be good for another 50 years. Because you know, where's the Virgin Islands gonna ever see this type of money again?
Well, let me ask that question. The original number that you inherited was $8 billion, and then it got up to $23 billion. Where is it now?
I like to say this: when we came to us to office,
January 2019.
there was $3 billion obligated.
The appropriation was at $8 billion. The obligation was at $3 billion.
Right.
Where are we now in terms of the total appropriation?
$25 billion.
Okay, $25 billion. So it actually gone up from the 23.
It did. I mean, you could go on USVI ODR and look at that number. But, you know, if you speak to Adrian, Miss Octalin, she would tell you she's still worried about costs and escalating costs and if that's going to be enough. Because costs drive costs. So what we're doing now is we're trying to get a lot of this stuff locked in as quickly as possible. And we're going to be going to ground on several projects by this end of this year, going into next year. The hospital, right across the street here, Charles Harwood.
Yeah.
And then all the schoolwork in St. Thomas, Charlotte Mali High is going to start. So
A lot
of stuff.
We had the Suffolk CBNA folks here as well.
Oh,
so
they were in here. That's great.
So we're going to take a break, come back. Got a lot of things to talk about. I see you're on the delegate, you know, having a nice little thing. That's awesome.
No. I was called by a reporter.
We're going to clarify everything. And we're going to talk about other issues as well. The governor's in the house. We'll take a break. We'll get them to the remainder of the show. Be back right after this.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here, Analyze This, and we're closing out the week. We got the Gov here in the studios. Good morning once again, Governor. Glad to have you on.
Glad to be on. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, it was actually raining as well, and you couldn't get out of St. Croix.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, wait a minute, you know, he's going to be on again tomorrow morning, and we got rain and all that stuff. But otherwise, let's go back to where we started, all right? You inherited a recovery window, right? And you got 2 terms of it. By the way, 7 furlongs gone done. in another couple of months.
7 months.
And then you get the
done.
last 4, the last eighth of a mile out of this 1 mile run. When you came in, we were dealing with a WAPA issue, not so much WAPA, but our relationship with Vital.
Right.
And you had to call the legislature into special session and all that stuff. They were threatening us and all that. Are we completely behind that?
Yeah, our relationship with Vital is actually it essentially came to an end this month because now we're getting
September or October?
I should say October, because I mean the deal was done before, but we finally receiving propane now from another carrier.
Okay.
It's a temporary contract that we have. That's a whole nother stumu, like the old people let's say. But yeah, that relationship has ended, and so we have a contract with the people that run the propane terminal. That's not Vital, and then we're not taking any more fuel from them, from Vital either. So that relationship is ended. Hey,
they got any technical role based on their institutional knowledge where WAPA is concerned?
No, I mean
power distribution.
None, and as far as I know, let me say that because people come back and say absolutes. I don't know, but. That was the last of it. I got to be kind of a good relationship with the CEO because I had to call him so many times and beg him for an extension on the deal that we had because we couldn't get stuff fast enough, couldn't get the money fast enough from HUD. We closed on a $180 million buyout of the propane terminal. And now we on this side of the world, we finally have barges that could carry the propane into St. Croix because we have the shallow channel here at WAPA, so not anybody could go in there with propane. So it's great that we're free of that contract, and we're actually, I think WAPA now had to put. I think the board told them they had to put the bid out again for the fuel for the propane. So that I think that's going out again. But we already had secured a price that was really good. In the power outages that we were having, a lot of that is due to. They were trying to bring on the Wartsillas on propane, the new one.
You can't. When we spoke about it that last time, you said that you literally said WAPA ain't really telling the public what really going on, and you did, to a certain extent. There was a infrastructure technical thing going on there with the Wartsillas.
Right. No, actually it was with the propane terminal. The propane terminal is designed to save itself, so. If it senses a leak or anything, it just shuts everything down.
Okay,
which kept clicking out the power all the time. The other thing that the WAPA brought to my attention is when we rebuilt. I used to work for Vitelco Innovative for a stint and run operations in St. Croix. And when you
the Dave Sharp days.
The Dave Sharp days, yeah. When you put in a phone, you remember Dave?
Yeah, I used to show up to the PSC meeting.
Yeah, Dave used to have me in tow.
Yeah.
It's funny how his life circle out. I was Jennifer's replacement as a PSC rep.
Correct.
Because she had been promoted to president.
Yeah.
And, now she's got tourism. So
cyclical.
It is cyclical.
Yeah.
But when you put in phone systems, the hurricanes, we had. So the way you're able to tell faults is that you use electronic equipment to measure how long the fault is, but the system depends on the fact that everything that you put in has the same gauge wire, because the resistance by the gauge of the wire is different on every size wire. So with power. With phone, you have to really design the plant. You just can't run cables and wires everywhere. That's sometimes people say they needed a phone. It used to take so long for them because you're in a new area. They have to actually design it. Well, when they built the system after the hurricane, it was 3 times WAPA has rebuilt. A lot of this, they were just putting up wire because they were just trying to get people on, So the system ain't really had a design, wasn't designed as properly. So now, little faults kick off the whole plant. So there's some other stuff that they're working on. Their new metering they're working on. I feel like WAPA's spokesperson. Right now, we're trying to get the legislature in to have a meeting with them to talk about expediting the permitting process. Sound familiar? For the 2 solar plants in St. Thomas and possibly the one in St. John, because the Trump administration has put a new caveat on their energy assistance for this program that we're using. If it's not substantially in construction by December, then they pull their money, which is crazy. But we are actively working on getting the stuff into the CZM, and then trying to, like, the CZM has already says, as quick as we can get it, we can review it, and then trying to expedite the process between when the CZM says, okay, this thing is good to go, the board says, okay, it's good to go, and getting it into the legislature and getting it approved. So we need to talk to them about that. And then we have some great things happening for St. Thomas and St. Croix. I'll say this, in the hospitality industry, and we need to talk to them about that as well too. I can't speak too much about that one, but Wampa, like it's like nobody knows the trouble I've seen. We've been through so much with that company, and this is I'm going to knock on wood when I say this. You know, Carl hasn't called me for any money in a couple of months, and that's a good thing, because every minute we were having to put another 10, another 15, another 20 million into WAPA to keep it going. And as much as you don't like WAPA and you may not trust, I swear there's some kind of curse on the both power plants, because if it ain't one thing, it's the next. But it's our power plant. This is the people's power plant, and we got to fix it. So we got the 2 solar fields up. We got the 4 watt cylinders in. You know, we're moving along.
One of the issues that we had on the table a couple of weeks ago was we're dealing with these companies. Wärtsilä is a Scandinavian-based company,
right?
Or not? I don't think Finland's part of Scandinavia, by the way. So it's a Finnish-based company. We want to know why we aren't talking more to the Miamatlis of the world as it relates to energy, because Barbados has been bragging for the last 20 years that their early on commitment to solar power was like printing money for them.
Yeah,
and the reason why we ask it in that context is, you know, we're dealing with these companies that they're way up in the northern Atlantic. But what about regional companies who they're on here and know the terrain and know the elements better than
well, you know,
than a Wärtsilä?
I laugh when people compare us to these countries in the Caribbean, because when you look at a government budget alone, I mean, we probably are one of the smaller countries.
No, I'm talking about the technical aspect. I agree with the budget part.
But when you look at the technical aspect, if you ever been to Barbados, it's flat. The thing doesn't have one hill on it, so the terrain is totally different. I mean, they call that thing rock for a reason, you know. I mean, it's like, I don't know how people cut the grass over there. It got dudes over there that they could use a weed whacker from a horizontal position with a rope tie on and cutting your bush, and they're looking good. They you know, Wärtsilä is just a company that we use, and really they're just engines. And these engines are used globally. They're used a lot on the cruise ships. Use them. They're exposed to salt. They're durable engines, and that's why we're using them. The technology that we implemented in the Virgin Islands, it surpasses. I mean, people don't compare us really to any other island anymore. You know, because the amount of infrastructure improvements that we are on. When I go and I speak, whether it's in St. Kitts or St. Vincent, people are amazed. I mean, the you know, my good friend, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, they're building a new hospital down there, and they have, St. Vincent has like 300,000 people, and in their hospital is like $100 million. You know, one of our hospitals is almost up $800 million, $900 million. And when you talk about scope and the ability, and you say, oh, well, that's just inflation, but it's the technicalities and all of the other things that we have to adhere to in terms of regulation and standards that we have negotiated with FEMA that makes our projects so complicated and so expensive, I must say, too. So I travel the Caribbean looking at the infrastructure that people have and realize that being a United States, and we take this for granted, when you look at the world, I was just in Costa Rica, in most of the Caribbean, especially the smaller islands, the United States invested heavily in highway transportation infrastructure. You think about it, from the Pony Express to the U.S. Mail Service to the U.S. Rail Service to the U.S. Highway System, now to the internet. You can see that the investments that this country has made in infrastructure has allowed more people to live in one place. It has allowed people to live even in the remote places, to commute to that one place easily, for goods and services to move across the nation rather quickly. I didn't even mention the airway system. Like, now it's even more evident than ever, right? Because of the problems we're having with the shutdown at FAA rather. You could see that one glitch in that system, how much disruption it causes. But all of that is really managed by the federal government. Planes, trains, cars, and automobiles. We take it for granted. We don't even think about when you're driving on a freeway in the States, this is managed. Or St. Croix, that has a highway that connects Christiansted and Frederickstead. That wasn't built with local money. That's federal money built that.
Well, what about the federal highway between Christiansted and Charlotte?
That one is coming up too. So I think we're having town hearings on the boat. I think Derek was telling me on the ferry from St. Thomas to St. Croix. If I'm not mistaken, it's tonight. I could go and check, or somebody text me and let me know. But we're having those conversations about the highway between St. Thomas and St. Croix, and the highway between St. John and St. Thomas, because we just put a 300 person boat on that one as well too. And federal highway again, we're about to get some buses in. I think this month, October or early November, to help the Vitran system. So those are investments that are like priceless.
The last thing I want to talk about as relates to WAPA, Erin exposed how fragile our infrastructure is, because even though it was just a brush, we were still out. The certain parts of St. Thomas and St. John were still out of power for over 24 hours.
So we're still dealing with all of the, the brush cutting. I was just in Florida. We went.
No, I said brush. I mean the storm brushed us.
I know.
Yeah.
But are those trees in the power lines?
Yeah. You're talking about the matter of fact, okay, I credit. The tree cutting.
Yeah.
One of my people text me and say that tree that vegetation management. That's a terminology that you did between Erin and recently actually paid fruit last week when it had the rain in St. Thomas.
It is.
Yeah.
Or the town hall was last night. That's when it was.
Okay.
For Derek. But yeah, so when I was doing the math when I went up there, because these air curtain burners are like amazing, and so the air curtain burner actually produces heat, which creates a reaction that produces energy.
Curtain burner?
Yeah, that charges batteries. And then the batteries they use to charge the heavy equipment that put all the stuff in it. So it's like, it pays for itself. I was trying to do the math to see if we could create enough heat where WAPA would be able to generate energy that would pay for the tree cutting that we have to do. But it's not, we'd have to have too many of them in order for it to be flush, because WAPA can cut bush all year long, but it's expensive in getting that done. So those little changes to the infrastructure.
I make Asplund very popular in this place. People miss Asplund.
I gotta say good morning to my good friend Claire Roca. There in Frederickstead. She called me. She says, "Oh God, look how high the grass is in the graveyard. It make me want to cry." I went in there for a funeral, but it been raining. Like we had caught. Remember last year? It was just people were just calling about the bush. Frankie Johnson, and the Senate appropriated $1 million to buy more equipment. Well, it stopped raining, and we got the grass under control because it was really out of control. But now it's raining again. So give us a little break. We're gonna get to the stuff and get the graveyards cut down and try to keep the roadside management going all the time. But it's expensive to be doing that. And this year, we gave everybody a big raise, right? We got 30% raise. Not everybody, but from 27 to 35, we got to manage that. We had 3 paydays this month.
I manage you. I ain't questioning nobody banks, right? But I don't know if the analysis was as thorough as it could have been.
What analysis? There was no analysis. There was no hearing. There were no testifiers.
Intent well meant.
Well meant.
But I don't know if the the analysis was as thorough. I could use comprehensive, but I use thorough because I was listening to KRS-One and they were telling me, Fat Joe actually about this other rapper and KRS-One said, yo, what I do is my thing is thorough. You know what I'm saying? So I you know,
brilliant.
You know, it's thorough.
Poets.
You know what I'm saying? But the reason why is this, right? For every dollar that they increase salary, it's really only 55 cents in take-home pay,
Right.
Because 40-something cents out of it is indirect costs. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's number one, right? And then number two, right? And Shamari and I spoke about it yesterday. You know, when you increase floor level salaries, you increasing the cost of living.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so I understand, you know, the politics and all that, and I save in the next section.
Good.
I save in the next section to talk about a gamut of politics to include the situation with the delegate and the upcoming gubernatorial cycle and whatever role you're gonna play and all that. In that,
I wish I could run.
But you sounding like Trump 2028.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be governor? I mean, people.
I told you last time. What you doing now is prepare, like they are saying in St. Thomas, right? Preparing the landscape for who coming in.
And whoever is next is going to absolutely benefit from all the stuff, the platform that we're building today. And if they don't, it's going to be their own demise because all they could do is undo. And that is my greatest worry, that whoever comes next will think that they're going to be some magician or some bright person, you know, that's going to restructure the stuff. The recovery is on track. You remember when John DeYoung left office, you know, the WAPA deal with propane.
The Vital deal.
That whole thing was going along good. We had... And wholly upset Polly Joseph, you know, the track. We go talk about the track a little bit since it's, you know, it practically belonged to you. You ain't inherit that.
I leave it alone, man.
I mean, like,
I don't know. The conversation's with time running, so we go take a break. The next segment, I'll let you know, is 100% politics.
Okay.
So get ready for that day. We're going to talk about a number of different things. And I also saw that you are Mike Rapo. Good. And I want to tell you about my meeting him 20 years ago.
Great Saturday.
Right here, yeah. So we'll take a break. Be back right after this. The governor's in the house. We'll be talking politics in the next segment. 100% politics. Even looking forward to 2026. Be back right after this. And we're back here on Analysis. We got number 9, Governor Albert Bryan Jr. Here in the studio. Good morning, Governor. Glad to have you on always, as always.
Always a pleasure.
Looking forward to having you.
Nine.
Let me talk politics. Let's get the Delegate Stacey Plaskett, Governor Albert Bryan thing that is a story right now on the WTGX news feed. If you haven't read it, go to the news feed and get all the details. And it has to do with the rum cover over.
It was actually a good article. How it tells Tom he did a good job. And good investigative journalism, because we didn't send out a press release saying anything. A lot of these hits are just people. I was like, why you take these hits? I said, well, you know, I like forward progress. I really don't like, you know, comments. But
let me do some background about the cover over so the public can be knowledgeable of how we're talking about. If Albert Bryan is a manufacturer in the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, and he sells rum into the U.S. market, it is taxed at $13.50 per proof gallon, of which anywhere from $10.50, which is 80%, to $13.25, which is 98%, of that $13.50 is covered over back to the manufacturing origin, right?
Right.
Our for the last 4 years, I think it is, or 3 years.
It's about 4 years.
4 years. We've been receiving the 80% amount, 80% share at $10.50.
That's correct.
And recently, I believe it's part of the Big Beautiful Bill.
It is.
And according to Chucky from Brooklyn, the Big Ugly Bill, right? So we have fun with that on Table Talk. You worked with the administration, and we are now receiving, effective January, this coming January.
It is January, yes.
We're going to receiving the 98% share at $13.25 per proof gallon, and that's permanent.
That's forever in law.
That's law,
which we've been trying to do since the 70s.
For donkey years. For donkey years. Take it from there.
So, you know, it's very complicated because you can only get this. It's a tax extender, and you can only attach it to a tax bill. So every time a tax bill comes around, we try to get it on.
This requires a congressional action.
It does require congressional action, and we tried during the Biden era. We had the last 2 years. We had the last 2 years of Trump, and then 4 with Biden, and then now with Trump again. And we have been unsuccessful in getting on it. And you know, Delegate Plaskett was on Ways and Means for most of my term, and had been trying to get it on. But the fact remains that the only way, because we've
get it on permanently,
get it on, not just get it on, because we weren't getting the 3. We were original.
I think the first 2 years it was at $13.25.
Yeah, the first 2 years in office it was $13.25.
And then the middle 4, the Biden years you're talking about,
we
was at $10.50.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we knew that Trump was going to come with a tax bill that we could attach it to. The problem was getting it on there. How would we get it on there? So several attempts were made to get it on from the House side, but all of those attempts failed. So we went to see Senator Crapo. We actually had a breakfast for him that was well attended. Puerto Rico, everybody participated. And, you know, he told us, if there is a way, I will get it on there. And he did. He got it on in the Senate, and everybody told us, including our office, they don't think it would make it through the House. But it did. It stayed in there. Guilty was another one. As a matter of fact, Guilty was on there, and they took it off. And
I got a text message and asking me to explain the acronym GILTY, which is Global Intangible Low Tax Income.
Right. Essentially,
it's a tax introduced as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 that initially applied to U.S. companies who own more than 50% of a foreign corporation, discouraging companies from shifting profits to low tax jurisdictions.
So, and in the law, we are treated like a foreign jurisdiction, just like the customs duties now. We're being treated like a foreign jurisdiction. So we've been trying to get that overturned for a long time as well too, and the delegate has tried our best to get that done, but the whole thing comes down to we don't have any vote in Washington, so we have a very specific strategy. When I came to office, we met with the delegate's office. She was like, "Look, this is my town. If you come in here, I want to know you're coming here. I want to know why you're here. I want to know who you're meeting." No problem. We let her know all of that. And we try to cooperate with them as much. When you really realize it, right? The delegate to Congress has zero power. You can look in the organic act. I'm not trying to diss anybody or anything, but they don't have any power.
Zero voting power.
Zero power.
In committee.
Zero.
In committee.
Zero.
They do have some power.
The Organic Act attributes no power to the delegate to Congress. All it says, the legislative branch has a bunch of power. The executive branch has a bunch of power. The judiciary branch has a lot of power. The only thing that the Organic Act says about the delegate to Congress is the Virgin Islands shall have a delegate to Congress. That's it. So, it delegates to Congress. And
well, that in the Organic Act. The Organic Act is at 54, and the delegate thing started in the early 70s. You're right, they don't have any power. But the delegate to Congress is basically a voice for the non-voting jurisdictions in Congress.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's it.
A voice.
There's, the
and they have voting power in committee, not on the floor.
The Senate actually has the most power in terms of without
I agree with
all the things that they can do. And the executive branch. The executive branch is particularly powerful because we don't have any subsections of the executive branch. There are no mayors and no councilmen. So anyway, I always felt the governor of the Virgin Islands should appoint the delegate and it should be a 6-year term. So you will have a little bit of autonomy in there unless the governor gets reelected again, because it has to be in line. And I say this to say that our track always has to be Ron DeLugo, Victor Fraser for the minute he was
Evans for 2 years.
Evans.
Back to the logo. Victor Fraser, Donna.
The strategy has always been two sides of the aisle. We have friends, I go to Republican people now, they still tell me about Donna. Two sides of the aisle, because we don't have a vote. So the delegate had the House. We still meet people in the House, but she runs the House, so she's very popular there. And we do the Senate. We do the Senate, Republican and Democrat. So that's how we've developed, and I'm going to give some credit today. Kevin Calwood and his relationships with Senator Crapo, going back governors, has been absolutely priceless.
I met him 20 years ago at what is now the company house, and he gave me a piece of advice. I was my very first, I was a senator, very first year. And he was speaking. Mike Fields at the time was
Mike Fields,
right? Was big,
Was his one other St. Croix Messiah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And here's what Crapo said.
Unfortunate passing.
Yes, it was. Here's what Crapo said about politics. So anybody who listening now and getting into politics or any aspect of life, listen to this. When you're going after somebody, draw a line, because when you cross that line, the sympathy effect will kick in. Crapo teach me that in July of 2005, and never forget it.
I'm not going to make any examples of that. I'm going to behave this morning and I can make any
examples.
Oh, God, Aborty, don't kill him.
People start to feel sorry for them because you're beating at them like a drum, and what you intended, what you intended to accomplish, you're going to get undermined.
Yeah, it is undermined.
So Crapo still looks out for the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, Crapo, man. We brought him here. He had a fundraiser here. And that's what we've lost a lot of the key donors who used to build our congressional visit program. Because let me explain to you how this works. And when you're able to raise funds for these congressmen, these senators, they come to the Virgin Islands. You have these fundraisers, and you see these things, $200 a plate, $500 a plate, $10,000 a plate. it's expensive to be in Congress.
But we need a new set of them.
Yeah, we need a new donors.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about. You said the congressional visit program.
Yeah.
We need a new set because Menendez gets himself in trouble.
Yeah.
And Mitch struggling. Mitch fell down again yesterday, man.
Mitch is
Mitch struggling, you know what I'm saying? So, Crapo good, but we need, Thune. We need to talk to man like Thune and them kind of man.
Thune is...
And he could relate to us because he comes from South Dakota.
He does.
A remote...
And it's weird, the Northwest, we just getting the senators.
They love it up there, man.
But Kevin, Carwood has a really good relationship. And then, I can't say enough about Terry Helenese. Terry is like a pit bull, Even when I get the Spanish, she's like, gay.
I hear her name.
Yeah, I hear her name.
I tell her we talking politics. I hear her name. We're 2026 is concerned, and we're gonna get to that.
But she's a dynamo in DC. She's been in our office for 7 years, and from raising money to opening doors and getting meetings and getting stuff done through Congress. And I mean, arguably, I would challenge anybody. We have gotten more stuff done on the Hill in this administration. And Stacey, is the Delegate Plaskett, being respectful, is, key to that. I mean, the one of the reasons why we were able to catch up on taxes is because we're now getting reimbursed for the unearned tax credit.
Yeah.
So we got some more taxes coming your way, returns coming out. We got the Medicaid match permanently fixed. That's we worked dually on that with the delegates office getting that stuff done. But we have a serious Washington team, and then we still have Winston and Strawn. Peter Hebert. He's gone. He stops in from time to time, and then we have oh God, it is slipping my mind now. But our other lobbying firm that we met with MAP here. Came under the MAP administration, and now we have a new firm. We have a lobbyist, Adrian Lucas.
So what role did they play in getting us the permanency that we're looking for with the 1325?
So Squire Patton Boggs is our main lobbyist, and they are constantly, and Winston is trying to speaking to people in the administration. In the Senate, in the House, about the Virgin Islands, helping us craft letters, set up meetings.
So what really happened with the big beautiful bill?
So what happened is, Crapo got it on, and nobody thought it would stay on. And I gotta say, Terry did and Kevin did. They were like, "This is gonna stay on." And it passed. It passed. It survived the House because they cut once they presented the bill, they cut, and it stayed on there. We got through. And I gotta give credit to Jennifer Gonzalez too, And the good thing is, I always tell people, if Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands have the same issue, we get behind Puerto Rico because we got one person in our office. They got like 30 in their office in DC. And
not only that, they got delegates. They got congressmen and women who come from districts that represent
right.
Puerto Rican demographic.
And I try to.
So the controversy yesterday came about because of what?
Some
ad or something?
Yes, there was an ad that was posted, and I was called by a reporter to ask me if that's true, that they secured the Plaskett and her team secured it. And I was like, it's just not true. I mean, they made efforts and stuff. I can't say they didn't work hard, but the reality is this is something that was done by our lobbyists, our team that we put together, and Jennifer Gonzalez and the strength of Mike Crapo, and his ability to get it on there and keep it on there. I'm trying to get the legislature to give Mike Crapo the Medal of Honor for the Virgin Islands. Because you got to think about it. There is nothing in it for him for this because that didn't help his election at all. And he got it done, and it's a Republican who, we've been at odds with the Democratic Party. And
But what does this say that you're the titular head of the party, the Virgin Islands? Mm-hmm. And the delegate has more national profile than you do.
Because way more.
And I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying
no, that's just facts.
Based on what happened with the trial, the impeachment, and all that stuff, right? And are you going at each other, all right? And I was talking with
But wait, I just want to clear because we're not going at one another.
That's a perception. That's a perception, right? I'm just saying that's a perception, right? So here's the deal, right? Both of you are Democrats, and I remember when me and your former boss, we never liked each other. I'm just being very candid, right?
Who, Dave? You didn't like Dave?
Governor number 7. Governor number 7 and I never liked each other, right? But I had a constituent who is now one of your deputy commissioners or assistant commissioner at Public Works. It's Karen McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
And she pulled me aside one day and she said, Neville, I know that you and Governor DeYoung and I don't get along and all that stuff. And but what about us who supports both of you?
Yeah.
And I had to she kind of put me in check. Yeah. It was like, because it was what I was supposed to tell her. Well, me and Key, I don't like he, right? What about those who are looking at this situation and interpreting it as, well, why are the delegate and governor at odds?
Well, the first thing I have to say is, in the Virgin Islands, right, Democrats only matter when it comes election time because of our structure.
Yo, man.
And we allow it to go on.
I can't refute that.
We making some changes when you have the Democratic majority leader, right, headed by a minority senator, gut the governor and make it seem like he give himself a pay raise and reduces it retroactively and then makes him pay back. You really got questions.
Are you referring to Senator Kurt Viale as a minority senator?
No. Alma Francis Haile guys who lead this thing.
Oh, you're talking about? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and then this is the thing too. Like, people need to recognize that the system that we're in, what it does is exactly what you said there. The delegate has a high national profile. Mm-hmm. Whatever you practice at, you become good at. And she's good at profile. I'm good at getting things done. And the problem in the Virgin Islands is, right, that everybody is good at profiling and not everybody is good at getting things done. And
that's just one of the problems, though. We're going to a break. I
just want to finish the last bit. Yeah. We set up a system that even Democrats don't take credit for the good that the Democratic governor has been able to and have been able to achieve. I take credit for everything Stacey get done in Congress.
And the problem, really, that we're going to a break, is we don't have party politics in the Virgin Islands.
We don't.
Because we only have one party right now.
That's true.
That's the real problem.
We don't have any bipartisan
So basically what
issues.
you have, because there is no Republican or ICM party to go after, we fight in one another. Yeah. So take a break, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back here at Analyze This, wrapping up our conversation with the governor.
Hey, can I say I just love to come on this radio station and talk to you?
We have a conversation. I'm not interrogating you. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important thing, right?
I never thought about it. Yeah, but that's it.
You know, some people want me to go hard, right? But I don't go hard with my guests. I really want the public to be informative when the conversation
You know,
goes on.
the people don't realize, right? Like most politicians, when you go on a radio show here in the States, they have an approved list of questions.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just ask anything.
No, we don't.
And people seeing what's going on, you know, I don't get any credit, you know, but I'll take it. When you see what Hegseth doing, you know what I'm saying? Who can come into and who could speak and excluding people, like the whole station have to stay outside, you know. What we have going on in the Virgin Islands is like, I tell people the one thing, I challenge the public to catch me in a lie. I've, like 7.5 years, as brutal as the truth may be and as detrimental to the administration, I always tell people the real deal. Straight up. Like, because people can handle it. And I'm telling you what to expect. Is like the Senate now, I read this morning in the paper that the Senate wants to go after the rainy day fund to pay the food stamps. Noble gesture, but by the time we figure out how to do that, it'll be January. So, you know, I think they really need to sit down and understand the mechanics around issuing that benefit. The benefit is $6 million a month. That means that we up to $72 million in food stamp a year. It used to be 55. It gone to 17. We've expanded the income limits, so a lot more people qualify. Going back to the $35,000 raise, that's going to kick a lot of people off. Because now you're getting a cash payment.
That takes you in a new bracket.
Exactly. So you're paying taxes on the money now that you used to get for free.
Let me ask this question as it relates to the politics stuff. We're talking about Delegate Plaskett. We're a small community. So, you know.
Well, you were asking me about.
Let's just face. Now, I'm talking about the 2026 gubernatorial election. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're termed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is what it is. You yourself said, you know, I'm a lame duck. You said this right after you won the last time, right? That's a political term, by the way. He's not lame. He's not a duck, right? We've heard a lot of names to include the delegate, lieutenant governor, former senators, current senators, what have you. How do you finesse this? Because one of the issues I've had over the years is that governors don't support their lieutenant governors enough, sometimes not at all, when they want to take that next step. How do you finesse that?
You know, I support Tregenza. Tregenza has been through a lot of tough times with me, and you know we have our disagreements. But at the end of the day, I think, well, I know he's a person of great integrity, and you know, I have to be careful how it is. He seems to be pursuing the gubernatorial race, but in my conversations with governors, it's always a question: did the lieutenant governor ask you for support? And most people are saying no. And Gore did this after the Bill Clinton era. You know, they ran away from that support. I think maybe not Donna.
But shouldn't it be a given, though? Given that we ran together, we won twice together.
People, two things though.
Let me language it like this. Should the perspective be, if my number two running for number one after I'm termed out, I'm obligated to support him? Should that be the premise, or do you still have to weigh all of the different candidates because you're the titular head of the party?
No, I have said it over and over again. There is no, you know, I support the lieutenant governor. I've gone on record saying that, right? In his quest, should he decide to put his name on the ballot to run for governor, the question always becomes: the people who support you always tell you you need to distance yourself from the administration. I don't know how you do that, but this, I don't care what anybody says. There's been no one that could come up to me and say they have any governor or any administration that's measurably close to the amount of accomplishments we have, irrefutably. So to run independently wouldn't seem like a bright idea. we have a very powerful machine. I've been leaving it alone because people are starting to go their own way, and people come up to me like, "Oh, Governor, you need to tell people who we behind." You know, I have to see what's coming out of there, and I've said on record before, I support Tregenza Roach. But the reality is, a lot of times, people, lieutenant governors, vice presidents, people in the Democratic Party, you know, when Donna was running, you know, I don't know if she wanted this, but a lot of people in her kitchen cabinet didn't want the young people helping her.
You're talking 2014.
Yeah, when she was running against MAP.
Mm-hmm.
And the strength of us in elections is the Democratic Party. We were able to unite for the first time 3 other candidates who lost in the primary to support us. We were unbeatable. From the time that happened, there was no way anyone could beat us. I'm hoping the same happens. But in getting down to that road, I am not going to allow anyone to step on my legacy. I will gut you like a fish. That's a promise. You could take credit and stuff. I mean, I saw the ad from Stacey. I didn't issue a press release. I got a call on whether it was accurate or not. Now you ask me to tell you what the truth is, so I just said the truth. Mm-hmm. But I know how it is running. I know you're going to have to, I'm a big boy. You're going to have to kick me in my shins and everything. I understand that. You want to be governor. But you're not going to be able to run, and it has never been successful. No one is able to run a negative campaign against the incumbent or the lame duck and win. MAP only won because he said he got wise and he says, listen, build back better. What was it? A time to build. He started saying he have a positive role. What he's going to do. So don't talk about what the last person did. Talk about what you're going to do. You know, and right now, we're going to see if these candidates are going to make the kind of commitments that Albert Bryan made and say, listen, I'm going to fix the GRS. Listen, I'm going to fix WAPA. You know, I'm going to pay back the 8%. I am going to get current on taxes. I'm going to make the Virgin Islands fiscally sound. I'm going to reduce the amount of money we have. I'm going to get the recovery going, and I'm going to get us as much money as possible. Those are commitments I made and kept. You could go back to
the one with WAPA, though. Yeah, given what the people dealing with for the last 60 to 90 days with these cascading power outages. That one hard to sell, Governor.
It is darkest before the dawn, my brother. And that's what, you know, it is just what.
But I think you can say right now, I am not where I think we should be as it relates to my WAPA promise. Is that a fair assertion?
No. I always want to be further, but I think we're on target with where we want to be. No, I have to say, honestly, we're behind because I was expecting, you know, I'm still fighting with Carl about the rate decrease. Mm-hmm. That's probably going to happen sometime in January or February this next year, which is a promise that we weren't kept. But all of the instruments are in place, and we have oil right in low. You know, give Trump a little credit. Mm-hmm. Fuel energy's gone down, so we're going to be able to pass something over to the ratepayers, and the stability of the plant is definitely going to be there. We got a whole new plant in St. Croix. The bid just came in. We're getting the replacement temporary generators in to take care of some of these outages. You know, it's just a run of bad luck WAPA I always get because there's no way we're supposed to be having outages in St. Thomas with those 4 new watt cylinders that we just got. Once those things are up and running on the propane and we get some consistency, then we could rehab the old units so that we have backup and we should be solid in terms of keeping the power on. Mm-hmm. The solar and everything else is going to help the rate go down and the stability of WAPA. Now, that is something I think is going to stretch into the next administration. But 26, knock on wood, should be a good year for WAPA.
So, speaking of GRS real quick, because you mentioned it just now in that list, the administrator spoke of short payments. What's your response to that?
You see, I try to. That's another one, right? I love Angel.
Well, I gonna have fun with this one now. All our prima donnas in the young administration.
We were. I love. Remember, Angel and I ran against one another. Yeah, I mean, we're good friends. So when he said that, people come out and say, "Fix him." I said, "No, I'm going to leave it alone." The reality is that there is no fund that is allowed to go to sleep. whether it's Social Security or any other fund, you got to work hard. So the GRS is saying it's all on the government to come up with an investment strategy in order to make the GRS whole. You know, anything can happen in the market and crash tomorrow is going to be a challenge again. I don't think the government can afford to give them any more money. They got to figure out a way.
No, I think part of that was the 1050, the difference between 1050 and 1325.
They got the permanent now, right? The next governor, right, who we started already, right? Okay, how can we get the retro money on this? Like thinking about how we could get the retro money. But you know, it's like you ask your parents for something, they give you something, you wanted a brand new, back in our day, a brand new Rally 10 speed for Christmas, you get it, right? You got to wait a little while before you ask for something else. So in the Trump administration now, we're asking for a number of things, saying, Mr. President, we want to be forgiven for these custom tax. Mr. President, we would like another $400 million or a way for the Treasury. I wrote a letter to the president saying, let the Treasury guarantee our bonds, all the bonds for all the territories. Let him guarantee that. For us, it will lower our percentage, our bond rating down so low. Our interest rates, and raise up our bond ratings.
Is that something collectively you and Guam and American Samoa and CNMI?
Yeah, I'm leading that effort. I'm leading that effort. Everybody is signed on, has agreed to sign on.
As it relates to election reform, I want to ask this question. Haven't been through the process.
Damn, it's like 9 more minutes.
I told you, man. Should have gotten here. Not even that. 5 minutes.
We haven't even discussed real politics, you know.
No, but we got time to come. Because remember, you're supposed to do a table talk appearance. So I'm looking forward to that. Do we need to change the law to allow for the party primaries to not have to run as a ticket for governor, run as an individual, so that if the winner want to run with somebody who he ran against in the primary, they could run as a team going into November.
Interesting.
But that's how it goes. That's how it works in the mainland. That's how you ended up with Clinton and Gore. Two of them were running for president, and then when Clinton won the primary, he tapped Gore, and Clinton and Gore happened.
I'm gonna say this as somebody who couldn't win the primary or the general without Tregenza. I would say no. I mean, because we are so bifurcated as a territory, right? One district against the other. It is a total disadvantage and harder to win, because whether we like it or not, you know, we this election gonna be interesting because we're gonna see who runs, number one, and St. Croix really always feel like it's an underdog, and they got certain politicians that just feed this all the time because it helps them get elected. But St. Croix really has gotten the lion's share in the Brian Roach administration. You know, St. Thomas is my base, but St. Croix has gotten the lion's share. But still, St. Croix still vexed. St. Croix want its own governor. They consider me a St. Thomian for the most part. And that's going to be a big driver in the election. And I'm going to say this. We're going to see how crucial the candidates are. And nobody in this election could win without a running mate for the next island.
Lion's share based on what?
Listen, everything. St. Croix got, I mean, in terms of dollars, when you look at public work projects, St. Croix got the most because
as it relates to schools, I would think right now, St. Thomas got the edge as it relates to schools.
No, St. Croix got the first school. The school is
the first school, but CBN and Suffolk, they done committed to 6 schools in St. Thomas.
But I think only 2 of those schools are getting rebuilt in St. Thomas. Most of them are just getting repaired. Like BCB isn't getting when I'm saying
Benjamin Oliver, you direct Ken.
But no, I'm talking dollars spent though.
Yeah.
Most
as relates to actual dollars you're talking.
Yeah, actual dollars spent. You know, roads paved, things revitalized. I mean, St. Croix, the highway still running. I mean, on the highway alone is $15 million.
Do me a favor. My audience is a stickler for details. Bring the list next time so we can have fun with it.
Well, you know, I take people from Frederickstead to Christianstead, from Mahogany Road to the pool to Medrick Commons Park to the rehab of Safarelli. I hate to call it that.
The Walter I Am Hatch.
The Walter I Am Hatch gang tear down. Arthur Richards gang tear down. Wim. Campo Rico, St. George, all new paving.
So you saying you confident that when you look at the dollars and the numbers, the breadwinner in the Bryan Roach administration has been the district of St. Croix?
It ain't even close. I mean, it is not even close. Because in St. Thomas, St. Thomas constituents, we've done a considerable amount of paving over there too, but it's so much smaller. Listen.
Well, this is the mainland or no? This is the mainland.
But when I'm in St. Thomas, I get dizzy from driving around the island. In St. Croix, I could drive for a while.
It's supposed to be like that because we flatter. Check this out. When are you coming back?
As soon as you call me, because we didn't even
tell
touch.
Miss Hamilton.
We didn't get the budget.
That's what I'm saying.
Text me directly.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, but tell Miss Hamilton to just reach out to me to set it up so we can knock that out again. Because we got a lot of things to talk about.
I come in with a list.
But come with the list. But the one thing I want to clarify today, as it relates to the rum cover over revenues, that's a Bryan Roach administration accomplishment.
Squarely.
And not as a delegate advertise it in that particular ad.
Yeah. Don't forget too, I want to make you realize the Bryan Roach administration take the matching down from 10% to 2%. We did that. That's like $2 billion in value.
I always go to see him. I'm glad to have you, man.
St. Dunstan's.
All the way. And don't forget next week, Boy from St. Croix, the documentary for Tim Duncan coming out next week as well. Be good, be safe, enjoy the weekend. Thank you, Governor.
Oh, thank you.
Talk to you on Monday.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.